In this episode of Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager, I invited two veterans in the industry to have an honest conversation with me about social media and being a social media professional today. Welcome to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. I'm Jenny Li Fowler, award-winning social media professional, author, and podcast host, and a recognized voice across the social media marketing industry. Social media managers are navigating the wild, ever-changing world of higher ed communications, and I'm here to share the real stories and lessons behind the posts. Each episode explores the challenges, strategies, and untold moments that come with running social media accounts in today's digital landscape. Let's get into it. Erica and Kellen, welcome back to Confessions.
Glad to be back.
Thank you so much.
I thought with this discussion, we'd do something a little bit different or fun. Tell me how long you've been in social or a social media professional without telling me how long in years you've been in social. So I'll put myself out there first. So when I started as a social media professional, people were using moi as a phrase, MUAH. So I don't know how many people will recognize that, but that's how long I've been in the business. So Kellen, do you want to go? And then Erica, will go to you.
So my name is Kellen Manning. I am the Director of Digital and Social Media Content for Penn State University. And I've been in social so long that when I started, I was put in charge of all of a university's social media platforms as a temp.
Oh, brutal. Okay, that's good. Erica.
I am Erica Kalani. I am the Director of Content Strategy and Audience Development, and I lead the social media team at the University of Michigan. And I've been in social media so long that I started the social media accounts for the news companies that I worked for when I first got into the industry.
Wow. So we
Yeah.
have like 3 founding members of social media accounts, right? For several organizations. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah.
Can you
So
imagine like when news companies weren't like posting their news stories on social media? Like
uh
crazy.
wait, I'll do you one better. I was in news when news companies were not posting on social media
Yeah,
because
like
social media is my second career, right? Yeah.
thinking back, like posting pictures was like a revolutionary act when I started. It was like
I remember explaining to a judge that I wanted to live tweet from a courtroom and he was like, what are you talking about?"
No. Oh man, live tweeting. Okay.
Live
Okay.
tweeting.
I feel like there's going to be a
oh,
lot of that. Like, oh my gosh. Okay. So I think our audience has a flavor of what we're going with this. We want to, talk about the industry, where it was, where we are, maybe where it's going. Erica, let's start with you. So what do you think's changed from when you first started as a social media professional? Like good or bad? What's changed?
I wanna take this from a positive. So I
Oh,
want I
I
want to
like
start
that.
us off on a positive note. And I think that one thing that has changed a lot has been the way that leadership within organizations look at social media. And while I think that a lot of leadership across just organizations in general maybe don't take social media as serious as they should, or maybe they don't fully comprehend it or understand it to the extent that they should. They certainly value it in a much more serious manner now and see the opportunities that it provides and the important communications and engagement opportunities that it provides to their organizations, and that it does require a very serious strategy, and that it should have dedicated social media strategists, plural, they're working towards that. And so that has definitely changed over my career from when it was very much just a sidebar thing that it was just an add on to, like,
That a
hey,
temp would do.
Yeah.
yes, yes, you're just working, doing this other job. And then, like, also, hey, go ahead and throw that on social media after you've created the account.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, that has been a very positive change over the, like, 16, 17 years that I have been managing social media accounts.
Yeah, I will totally agree with that for the most part, but there's a lot of folks where, social media is still other duties as assigned, right? So,
Mhm.
hopefully we'll get a bigger swath of people moving in that direction. But yes, I do agree with that. Kellen, how about you?
So I guess the thing that's changed is like social media when I first started was a writing job. Like that was the big thing. It was like the first thing listed was being able to write, being able to take
Um,
large bunches of information and put it down into 140 characters or whatever. Now there's so much more to it. Writing is still important, but if you come in as just a writer, I don't think you're going to get the job like it anymore. It's funny because this moment like stands out as like a vivid moment of it all started with MTV, as far as I'm concerned, with the idea of pivot the video. Like that was a massive moment. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then slowly things started like you had Vine, and then everything started allowing video. Then Instagram rose, and then slowly but surely, and then social media left from just being a writing job to you have to know how to do so much more now. You can't just come in and, like Erica says, be like an add-on, say, okay, do a few tweets, do a few posts on Facebook, and then move on. I don't really care how it did. We just want to know that you did it. And now it's like, okay, how did it do? When did people stop watching this video? At what point? How could we have got them to keep watching? And so there's so much more like niche analytics that are important to like getting attention now. So I think that's the biggest change that I've seen.
that's interesting. The writing, you're really taking me back. That's so true. Like, Erica, would you think it was primarily a writing job? Like, I totally
Oh my gosh.
forgot about that.
I mean, we used to tweet times, if not more, a day. That was the primary source of posting on social,
Mhm.
was making sure that you were so active on Twitter. And that was writing tweets was such a driving force of what your, like, social strategy was. That was so much of it. That would, like, when I was first really working in social, that was like posting on Facebook, sure, making sure that you were engaging there, because, that's always had such a large community. But really making sure that Twitter stayed active, especially because my career started out working in news, making sure that I was on
Yeah.
Twitter all the time. Holy
Mm,
cow, like, that was such a huge part of it, was writing. But yeah, that was definitely,
so
that was
true.
and I don't think that I was, really worried about photos and videos until a few years later, and having those more visual elements in there. I hadn't really thought of it in frame that way, but that is such a big part of it. But Kellen actually said something else that I thought of, too, in this, and I don't want to, like, focus too much on this first question, because now, this is like a whole nostalgia thing
Oh,
now.
yeah, but
But it's this, like, social media has always been 24/7, right? But now we're at this level of the 24/7 urgency of it, and that it's like this constant monitoring tool, and it's endless work, and it's like we must know immediately when someone has posted something negative about the brand, and we need to know who has said it and why they've said it and where they said, and, like, it's so urgent. And before, like, years ago, if I came across something that someone posted within a day of them posting it and knew about it, like, that was plenty.
that was
And I
Yeah.
don't even know that anyone would have responded to me having come across that. Like, there was really no reaction or response plan to it. And now there's this whole way that we have a whole issues management and crisis communications action based on
right.
how people are reacting on social media to
Yeah,
things. And yeah.
it
Yeah. I
based on what
remember.
you see in social. Yeah. we'll get to
Go ahead,
that in a
Jenny.
sec. Yeah, because I feel like we're probably gonna circle back to the 24/7. But I just wanted to add that, like, one thing I kind of miss was, in the early days of social, was just the transparency of the algorithm, right? Like, I love how it was in sequential order, and if you posted something, you could feel confident that all of your followers would see it, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that I miss so much, is that, like, it's purity. I don't is that the word I'm looking for? It's just like what, like, we're playing this guessing game with the algorithm, and it's only a fraction of our followers who actually see our content now. And I just think that's, like, weird. I miss that the most, I
Yeah,
think.
you could honestly, I think you could blame brands for that because I remember in the beginning it was like this idea of it was just the people, and it was like you could see it all in a row, and you assume that all your friends and family were seeing the post. Then
Yeah.
brands started getting involved, and you started seeing stats like, well, only 30% of the following is seeing your post, and what are we going to do about this? Also, like we're not making a lot of money on these platforms. How can we make this better
Yeah,
for ads?
I
And next thing you
know.
know, it's like everything started becoming, oh, let's change the algorithm. Let's make sure people can see more people. Then it's like, oh, you might be able to see your friends, but more so you'll see these other people who are creating things. And so it just kind of grew. But I remember I started for a while, I started saying the idea like brands kill, which is counterintuitive to my profession and me
I know.
finding things to
Yeah,
eat.
I know.
but,
I feel
but
so
it's this
bad.
idea that like social started to become worse the first time they brought like Mark Zuckerberg up to Capitol Hill and or like when Mark Cuban started critiquing like what social media is, and then they started putting all these tools in place, shifting the algorithm to make it so that it's less about people and more so how could we start selling things and how can we
Yeah.
start making money off these things, and it made it less fun but more lucrative.
Yeah, the monetization, like, kills me for sure. Okay, so how about this? What hasn't changed and needs to?
um what hasn't changed and needs to, I think it's interesting because I know Erica's first point was like the idea that as a whole, and like it really depends on like who your leadership is. There are a lot more people who are putting things behind, resources behind, and care about it. But then you start talking to like smaller departments, smaller schools, even schools our size. Erica and I are in a meeting with groups all the time, and sometimes hearing them stories like, wait, they're still like doing that. Like I remember being in, I was talking to a
Hello,
peer. Yeah,
MIT?
exactly. I was speaking to someone who worked at a university. Again, he met with our social team, and it was just him. He's like, "Oh, I see you have 4 people. It's just me." And I'm like, "Oh." And so, as much as it's changed, you're seeing like a lot of universities putting money behind it. Not everyone is fully buying into it, and I don't see the reason. And speaking of MIT, I remember I think I told you a story, Jenny. When I got hired initially for my first run at MIT, the first thing they told me was MIT students don't use social media at all. And I'm like, why am I hired here? And I'm like, what is why? I'm like, first of all, that sounds crazy. Like, you mean every student uses social media across the world except for these few thousand here? So, but that idea still exists, and that's why resources aren't given there because people don't see the value of it because they have their goals haven't shifted to reflect this new world. They're still going in that you send a letter out, they fill it out, they send it back. That's a conversion, and they need to change those.
I think you debunked that a little bit. Like, you
Well, I
helped
hope
to.
so.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
10 years
I think,
ago.
yeah, yes, exactly. You helped to debunk that, and now we do know that our community is on social. So thank you for debunking that, Kellen. But Erica, what about you? What do you think hasn't changed and needs to?
I think that people still aren't using social to do listening quite enough and are still
Mm,
using it to do just a lot of dissemination of information. I see a
mhm.
lot of just posting random information, clearly, not matching the moment. Something has happened. Like, I see things. I'm obviously, like, I'm online a lot. I know what's going on, not just in our community, but I'm watching a lot of other communities. I'm trying to learn from a lot of other people. So I see things happening in other communities, and then I see how, whether it's a school or whether it's a brand, clearly they have something scheduled or they just weren't paying attention and they've posted something that is, not something that they should be posting at that time. And then they are just getting completely obliterated in the comments, and it's just completely unnecessary. And the post was not important and did not need to go out. But also just not taking in information and learning from it to figure out what, like, it's such a great opportunity to inform your strategy
Yeah.
because you have these audiences right there at your disposal, and it's so straightforward to be able to learn from them and create content that they want because you can literally see what they like. And so I just think that people aren't seizing that opportunity enough. And some of that is for lack of resources
Yeah.
provided by the organization.
Yeah.
And I think some of it is just, maybe lack of understanding how to navigate the landscape.
Yeah. I think that I would agree with both of you. I'm maybe seconding what you said, Kellen, and it sort of supports what you said too, Erica, is that I really think that if you're going to do social as a department, a lab, an organization, I really think at this point you should hire a full-time social media professional. Like this like, the communications person doing events and social, like this has got to stop, because what's the point of doing social if you're not going to if you're not going to grow followers, or if you barely have any content. I don't see the value in it, right? And so I just think that, like, look, just either commit to it and hire a social media person, or just say we don't have the resources to do this right now. I want that to end.
And it's interesting because you see jobs up online about social media people and like all the things they require, and it's like, oh, $35,000. I'm like, what? Like this is
I
like this is
know.
crazy. And so like even it's really important to like put people in those roles, empower them to like learn, because like Erica's saying, I think I tell my team we should be looking at social at least 40%, 50% of our jobs, just watching it to see, okay,
So
what are
true.
people saying? What's
Yeah.
the direction social's going across the board? Are we up to date, or are we starting to become dated? Should we shift strategy? And there's just a
Yeah.
lot of people not doing that. And it feels like, oh, that's an old trend, or that's people aren't really doing that anymore. So
Yeah, it all shifts and evolves all the time. I mean,
Oh
like
gosh.
it doesn't
Yeah.
just stay the same. The audience changes, how people use the platforms changes. Look at how much Instagram has changed over the
mm,
years. And so, like, we can't just do the same thing over and over again. Otherwise, I mean, all of our photos would be getting cut off because, like, the entire ratio has changed. Like, we have to be able to make sure that we're ready to change what we're like. We have to
Oh,
learn about your audiences, but also learning about the platforms because, I mean, like, to Jenny's earlier point, like the algorithms alone, like I mean, trying to figure those out is, a nightmare. Like, besides, trying to watch Adam's videos to be like, what are you talking about? But like, we,
it's
it,
changing
it
tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, like, why do you do these all the time? Are you actually telling us something? But I do think that people can spend more time listening and learning and taking in, like, where should I actually be allocating my time and resources when I am working in social, because we do not need to be in every space. Like, we don't have audiences in every space because very rarely are our audiences every single
Yeah.
person in the
It's
entire world.
right. And it's not strategic. That's not strategy if you're just posting all the same things in all of the different channels. And that, I just, as an aside, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm still trying to convince members of our social media community not to post horizontal videos in Instagram. I don't know how long that's going to take.
I did just have to do this earlier this week, but it was a very unique circumstance because we only had the video that way, and it
Oh, yeah,
but
it's not unique. It's not
don't you remember
unique.
that? Don't you remember that week when when it was ultra wide was because like the Instagram was
oh,
trying
that was,
to
yeah, no. That
I
was
was like,
dumb.
what?
That was dumb.
It
That was dumb.
disappeared as soon as it came back.
There was one brand that I thought did a really good job with that, and it was Kit Kat. And I was
Mm,
like, that was their moment to capitalize, because literally
yeah.
it was the size of
Yeah,
Kit Kat.
yeah,
No, oh, so
yeah,
okay,
but
so
it's strategic.
yeah, that was strategic. Okay, I have a question, because I think this is an interesting phenomenon around social media. Is that the industry changes so quickly. Everything, the rules change quickly. The algorithm changes so quickly. Why are we still calling X Twitter? Why can't like we can't get beyond tweets?
Because it was a magical point in all of our social media
Is
lives. It
is
was the
that what it
peak.
is?
Like, sometimes I just think about like 2013 to 2015, 2016, when everything felt in the moment and live, and that's kind of lost. And also, you can't really blame anyone from going. It's been Twitter since 2007. Then they just randomly changed it to X, and it's just hard to get over that. I mean, but overall, the reason I still say Twitter, I still miss those days.
Everyone
I thought
does.
that was it was the peak. It was the peak of social media, like when Twitter
Do
was
you
at
think
its
so?
highest. I think it was. I mean, there was a lot of other platforms that were going strong around that point too. But like, I remember just if something happened in that moment, the first thing I do is go to
Go to
Twitter. Oh,
Twitter.
Facebook. I think
Yeah.
Facebook's down. Where do I go? Is everyone on Twitter saying Facebook's down, or is it just me? So there's core moments in the digital life that exist. So because of
Okay.
that, I can't let go of the name.
I do, but I feel like it's more than nostalgia. Like people literally cannot stop saying tweets and Twitter. Erica, any insights?
I think it was a defining moment for
Okay.
people who love social media, like, in that time. I do think there's something to that. Some of it might be resistance, to
Okay.
change.
Yeah.
Um,
But
I like the
but
pause to
I think
change.
I
but here's the thing.
I
It's like our community is one that deals with change all the time. So
Yes, yes.
so I
I
okay,
think
I appreciate you saying change rather than maybe something else, but
Yeah,
well, I
we're not
think,
calling TikTok
I
musically or whatever it
okay,
was before.
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
people, a lot of organizations, and a lot of institutions departed that platform
We did.
post rebrand.
Yeah.
But also, the one thing you got to remember, Jenny, you remember, and Erica, you might remember this too, the fight to get people to even change the Twitter logo from the T to the bird took forever. So you can't expect people to switch the name that fast if we couldn't even get the logo right. So,
I also think just the term, like the verb tweet is such
mhm.
a is easier. Like that alone. Like I say X in, like,
Yeah.
when we're talking about like which platforms we're posting on. I do say X when we're going through it a lot. I might in talking about it here, I might default to Twitter when we're talking about it in the past, or like live tweeting and things like that, because it was at that
Yeah,
time.
that was
But
what it
here,
was.
like,
Yeah.
yes, yes. But for posts, like, it's a Facebook post, it's a LinkedIn post, and then
No.
it's like an X post. Like, tweet is it was such a unique thing. Like, it was something very different. And so, yeah, I don't know. But I do think that time on social, like, was very special to people who were very passionate about getting into those spaces and about information sharing. Like, I think that a lot of people made a name for themselves and were able to create connections and engage with people and build audiences in a way that made that time very, very unique, that they feel
Yeah.
very captured by, um,
Yeah.
because of that.
I think that's valid. I mean, I have some good friends that I met on Twitter, when it was
Mhm.
Twitter. So I
Yeah.
think
I
that's
definitely
right.
got recruited to a job because of my Twitter account.
Yeah,
So,
see, when it was Twitter.
that was, like, it was a way that people knew who people were. No, in a way that LinkedIn has tried to become that since the rebrand to X, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
or people
it
have
definitely.
tried to make LinkedIn that. LinkedIn has always been the professional network, but like people have tried to turn LinkedIn into this combination of professional networking and connection building, personal relationship, like keeping in touch with people in that way too.
Is it working? I feel like it's different.
It is different, I think. Very
Yeah,
lengthy post, very lengthy.
very,
Yeah.
very lengthy. Everyone's thrilled. Everyone's excited. Like all the same words everyone's using.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
You
very, it's so long. Everything is so many paragraphs. Like, I like to read, but come on, guys. Like, we
It's
can
a
keep
lot.
it more brief.
Yeah.
So this is funny. So we missed the 140 character limit wow, we're all being really
It was
nostalgic
always
for
a fun
Twitter.
challenge to have
It
to edit
was.
it down. I
That's
always did
true.
enjoy the challenge of having to edit a tweet down.
And
Or
I
in the
liked it.
6-second video of Vine. I loved them. I will talk great about Vine all the time. So like that box really leads to a lot of creativity and a lot of really cool moments when you put a box around it and people can actually know their boundaries.
Gonna hit pause for a second to share some awesome news. If you or your team are looking for practical strategies to crush operational bottlenecks and scale engagement with AI, then Engage Summit 2026 in Charlotte needs to be your destination this June 15th through the 17th. From hands on sessions to main stage keynotes showing how AI transforms enrollment and retention, Engage Summit is the place to level up your institution's game in ways you probably didn't realize were possible. You'll walk away with tools, frameworks, and connections that actually move the needle and people who will keep pushing you forward long after the conference ends. The good news? Spots are still available. And even better news? Enrollify listeners can get 50% off ticket price. Yes, half off. Just head to engage.element451.com and use the code Fowler50. That's F as in Frank, OWLER 50. Now back to the show. I think that's what I miss too, because I could tell leadership, I'm like, nope, I have 140 characters and that's all I can work with, and that was actually a nice thing to be able to say, right?
Hmm.
Instead of going to have that limitation actually help me or us do our jobs, right?
Mhm.
By the way, Kellen, what happened to Vine? Do you guys know? Did it like
Vine,
it went away and came back, right?
supposedly, like it went away and then and just it I forgot the reason. I think it just shut down. I don't think they were making money off of it. And like
I know it was
in
like disappeared.
yeah, it
Really,
disappeared. All those people who were great there went to YouTube. And then there were always like rumors like, oh, Vine 2, Vine 2. And then even like
yeah.
last year, there was one like Vine's coming back. And then
Yes,
people stopped
yes,
talking about it. So
yes.
I don't think it's coming back. I think it's over.
Okay.
I think, especially considering like the amount of people who like truly loved Vine are like getting smaller and smaller to where it like doesn't even have the cultural resonance that it once had. Like, why do we keep reminiscing about this? I do it all the time. Like, why do I care so much about Vine?
Because you loved it
It's
in
true.
the beginning days, right? Okay. So, all right, we've already started talking about this, but Erica, we'll go to you. What's different about social media itself?
There's a lot of different platforms, and the platforms are very different from one another. And so the people who use them, so we have a lot of different people using. I felt like I was just sharing like random different facts. I wasn't really tying all those together. So let me
No, you're good.
sure. So the like the people who use social media, right, are we're talking 10-year-olds are on YouTube. And we're talking boomers are still, are using Facebook and YouTube and maybe other platforms, like the different generations who are using social media, the different types of social media platforms that exist, and the different types of content that we can create to go on those platforms, and the different ways that we can engage with audiences there. There is so much to consider. And so we're talking, I mean, when I was first starting out, I was considering Facebook and Twitter. Like those were the two that
Right.
I was like, here are
Those
the
are the
two
big
top
two.
dogs that are going to be the best for connecting with an audience. So now we're looking at, 9 platforms every single day to connect with people like that we're going through, and we're like, which ones are we going to put what content on? We're
Eh,
never
y-
putting the same, very rarely are we putting the same content out on the same
Yeah,
platforms.
you shouldn't be. Like really
No.
quick, as social media managers, do you all get invited to be like I am on so many platforms that don't even make it past beta testing. Do you get invited to new platforms?
I mean, I've had a Lemonade account for a
Every
long
now
time. I've never opened it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, every now and then,
I
yeah.
mean, do Lemonade, there's Hive, right?
I
Oh,
got
I
a
forgot
Hive app
about
on my
Hive,
phone.
yeah.
Did you guys ever heard of Column?
Oh,
See?
Mm-mm. I don't know that one.
Do you remember
Peach for a little
Hello?
bit for that week when Peach was everyone
Oh,
was obsessed.
Peach.
I still have that.
Yeah,
Erica does
I
not remember
remember.
Peach.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know Peach.
It was another week-long thing that people were obsessed with.
But also, what was oh my gosh, I can't even remember. What was the audio one that was really big over the pandemic?
Oh gosh.
Clubhouse.
Yes, Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Everyone
Yeah.
everyone went to
It was so
Clubhouse.
big, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
literally couldn't remember what it was called.
Mm.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to say, like, we are on so many platforms and testing out platforms that most people
Mhm.
probably have not even heard of, right?
Yes.
So
Mm.
that's what I was trying to get at. But
Yeah.
continue. Sorry. Yeah.
No, not at all. No, thank you. So that is such a big change to the industry. And it's not that, like,
The
you
growth.
cannot take one piece of content and just blanket post it
Right.
across 5 different social media platforms. Let's just pull 5 out. Like, you cannot take a video, a photo, a written post, you cannot take that and put that out and say, "That's my strategy." Like, that is not effective, that is not engaging, that is not doing anything to have an impact for anyone. You have to actually spend time getting to know which community are you actually going to have a connection with, like who does this content resonate with, who is your target audience. Like, you have to do so much work with your actual communities. Like, you have to move beyond working, with your piece of content. You have to know your community and then develop your content for them. And so it's so much more work than just making content to put out. You have to first know the
Yeah.
audience. Like, it's actually working with audiences first and then making content. And so it's very different than it was. Like, I think about when I was first working in this, and it was, we have all of this information. So, like, we have, just reporters creating so much content. Or even when I went into healthcare and then I went into higher ed. So at any point in time, like, there's so much information that needs to be shared out. And at the beginning, it was very much like, the content exists, we need to get it out there. And
Mm.
then it got to this point where I was like, oh, no, we need to understand what people want to know and need to know. And then we need to make that content for them. And as more and more platforms exist and as more people are using the platforms, that becomes even more important to have an effective strategy. And so I think that to me has been the biggest change to social media itself.
Yeah, it's true. There's like so many new platforms to consider. Kellen, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like things are less in the moment than they used to be because of the way like now where social media feels a more closer to what TV was or is now. Like now there's like water cooler moments that everyone recognizes, but it, especially as X like declines in relevance. Like you have this idea where you no longer go there, you no longer like kind of hang out there when something's happening right now as often as you once did. And every day I'm telling people like they want us to promote events. I'm like, okay, we can promote events, but the one thing you have to think about is if this is successful, this post is going to last way longer than your event does. So how are you going to make sure that this is still relevant way after the event is over? And that's what we have to think about. There's places to actually say something's happening Saturday, becoming fewer and fewer, which is tough.
I remember you posted in LinkedIn. I love how LinkedIn shows me what happened 2 days ago or something like
It was
that.
2 weeks. It was
It's two
a little bit.
weeks.
Everyone was
Oh,
seeing 2 weeks ago content. And I'm like, why? Why is everything 2 weeks old?
I
that algorithm change has
was
been
weird. Yeah.
so wild, and it has been so overwhelmingly dominant to the platform. Like, yeah, very interesting.
But it's true. It was just around 2 weeks, and I died laughing because it was just so real. But Kellen, you just compared it to TV. Are you
That's
talking
what
about
it
like
is.
TV, like when adults use their kids as the remote and they had to turn, or do you mean
Yeah,
like
this is. I mean, this is this. It is officially the new television, like across the board. That's what it is. Social used to like. It still feels like it moves fast, but it doesn't move fast into like. I think Erica mentioned this like at the beginning. Is like go in there, live tweet exactly what's happening in the moment as it's going. That used to be the constant. Now it's like becoming like few and far between. But overall, it's like, oh, you saw this meme, you saw this sound, it lasts for 3 days. Everyone's talking about it, trying to figure out how to use it. and then it's gone because everyone's waiting for like the next episode of social media to happen. Like that's because like what was it? Just
Oh, okay,
recently it
now
was
I get you.
a few days ago was what is Justin Bieber at Coachella. It was like, oh,
Uh-huh.
did you see him? He pulled up YouTube, and that was the big thing people were talking about 2 days ago. And that was the television show and the water cooler moment that everyone on social was kind of talking about, as opposed to like before it used to be like, oh, this is happening real time right
Okay,
now.
I got
And
you.
so it
Okay.
and I think that's what kind of changed, and it makes it tough. You can't to where
Yeah,
you can't
it's
think about
almost
it now.
like entertainment over connection, like where it used to be
That's
like
a good point.
connecting
Yeah,
with people and now it's like entertaining. Like we're seeking entertainment from the platform. Like we want to scroll TikTok more than we actually want to connect with people.
it's just media now. Get rid of social. Now we're just media
It
people.
is.
Okay, no, okay, y'all
Helen,
both.
it's such a
I
good point and I hate it.
no, I take offense. I take
Welcome back.
offense to that. But I also did want to go back to what Erica just said. She said it's entertainment and not
Yeah,
connection
exactly.
anymore. That feels so real. And I'm so sad right now because of it. So is that why like everyone's like talking like community building because because before maybe social media was just naturally community building, but
Yeah.
now it takes strategy to build community? Say
Zuckerberg says
oh,
that's what he
Mhm.
originally set out to do.
Yeah.
is to
And
build
this
But
community
it's
or kill which one?
to
Because I feel
uh
like he kind of killed it too, right?
yeah, he claims he wanted to bring people together.
Okay.
Whether he actually sought out to or not is,
Okay.
well,
Got it.
we'll
Yeah.
all
I mean,
we'll all keep
the
our own
space
thoughts, but
the spaces where you're seeing like community kind of exist now, it's like it's Yik Yak is resurrected and now it's like huge, especially on campus. It's like everyone's
yeah,
anonymous, but then you go on there in the moment, it's like, oh, something's happening on campus right now. This is a
it's
really cool
so
space to be.
funny. It's so
Like
funny. Oh my
it,
word, it's
You
so
know what?
funny.
Kellen was the one that taught me about Yik Yak, like what, 12 years? How many
12
years
years
was
ago. And then
it?
it died. And
And
then it
then
came back rapidly.
why
And like
are
students love it.
I fie on you, Kellen, for bringing Yik Yak back into
I
my lexicon.
But I'm telling you, go if you like at least at Penn State, when I open up Yik Yak, if someone's like, "Hey, there's something happening on campus right now," that's the only space you can
That's
go.
the space.
Before you used to go other places, but now you can't. Like you just go and you just look and you can see students talking about it in real time. You can't see their names, you don't know who they are,
Uh,
but you're there, and
Eric,
you have that, and you have the private. You have like some parts of Reddit, and then you have like the private discords that exist like that. But that's where social media now exists now. Like, but these big box platforms no longer social, like Erica said.
big box platform. Wait, what? I want dang.
I did not come to this podcast with any of this planned.
This is happening organically, but it feels so right.
This is like making 1,000 presentations at 1,000 conferences right now. So
Hey, you heard it here on Confessions of a Higher Ed
remember where
Social
you heard it
Media
first.
Manager. And actually, if you're enjoying this conversation as much as we are, please like subscribe and rate this podcast in the platform of your choice,
Yes.
because this is really juicy stuff, like honestly. But Erica, I was just gonna ask you, are you on Yik Yak?
We do check Yik Yak.
Is it like a secondary platform? Like you check it, but
Yeah, we check it. Yeah, but we don't post there. No, we do nothing. We just check it to make sure that we know what's going on. Like I've never learned of an incident like on campus or anything there. It's more of having an understanding of like the tone on campus. And so it's usually like when students are really worked up about a particular thing happening on campus.
so it's a good listening and monitoring tool for you.
Yes, yes. And it's
Yeah.
usually like very, very snarky, sarcastic, humorous, but it's usually centered around something particular. And so that's often helpful to know what they're talking about.
Wow.
It's
Okay.
also kind of, and it can be fun to
Yeah.
see what they're saying. They're very,
I've
they're very smart and witty in their posts. And so I always recommend, find things that bring you joy when you work in these fields. And so sometimes the jokes can be funny. Sometimes they hit too close to home, but sometimes they're funny.
And
Valid.
sometimes you can take like things that are common that people are saying on Yik Yak and say, I'm gonna use this for copy just to see what happens. And like we do it for TikTok too. Like, and we
It informs content for sure.
Yeah.
But you have personal accounts in Yik Yak and you're listening, right? Because
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not. We're not
No, it's completely anonymous,
advising.
so it
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
any sense
Yeah.
to even have
Yeah.
one.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just wanting to put
Yeah.
that out there because I didn't want anyone to think that they needed a branded Yik Yak
No, no, no,
account,
no, no,
right?
no. No.
Because that's not the direction for that. So,
No.
okay, so I'm curious. I want to learn what is the biggest like lesson you've learned in your career, in your social media career?
I can go first.
Yeah, yeah, please.
The idea that everything constantly changes and you have to change along with it. Like at no like the job that was when I started in 2011 is not the same job I have in 2026, even though I'm in charge of just as many platforms from attempt to it, but probably more, but I'm still in charge of a university platforms. But like what's expected of me, all the things that go into it, have all the things I've learned since then, like that you have to constantly pivot and be ready. I mean, just the other day we had what was like a fictitious active attacker simulation. Like both teams are in there, and like, and there was like, and
Oh,
someone would come in the room and say, "Okay, this happened. 8 minutes have passed," and like,
oh
"Okay, what do you
wow.
guys do?" And I'm just you calling back on all of these things I've seen on while these major tragedies are happening. I'm like, okay, so there's more than likely if there's a suspect, someone's going to start pointing blame at random people on campus. So we need to keep track of those names because someone's going to get doxxed. So we have to be prepared for that. And it's like all these things are coming back, and like I wasn't prepared. That wasn't part of the job before, and this is the thing.
Yeah.
And but now it is. So it's like what is required of social media to this point, and it's why if you hear both Erica and I's titles, it's not social media director anymore. Like
Right.
it's engagement, it's audience, like there's all so many things that go into it because who knows what we're going to be required to do tomorrow that wasn't even thought of today.
So the biggest learning in the nutshell is just to like always be okay with uncertainty or
Yes. Yes. To
okay.
go back to my, what was it, the hits, Jenny, that you met me with Bruce Lee, like be water. That's the
Be
big thing. It's like constantly evolve, constantly stay in motion, but you have to fit into whatever space they put you in and learn how to operate in it.
yeah, I love it. I mean, that's just good advice in general, but yeah, I like it. What Erica, what about you? What has been like your biggest learning in your career?
I want to first second what Kellen said because flexibility is usually what I or is something I would say in this, but in wanting to share more, I will share that I think something else, another big thing that I've learned in this career is it can be very easy in a role like this to have imposter syndrome. And it's really important to remember that you communicate to a lot of people on a daily basis. You have a lot of audience members, community members who are looking to your channels. There are a lot of people who are seeking information from what you're putting out. And so remember that you have a lot of impact. Your communications and your strategy is really important, and so try to look back at your accounts and go through that and find things that can give you that boost of confidence so that you can remember like, hey, I do have, I'm really good at this, and
Mm.
I do really important work, and I do have a significant effect on our communities, and I'm giving them really important information, or I'm bringing them joy, or I'm demonstrating the institutional impact, and I'm sharing these priorities, and I am highlighting the student experience, and I am showing off research, and I'm doing all of these things, and put together reports that show off that work and
Mm.
pass those along to leadership. Like, go beyond showing off the numbers, like write out a paragraph that summarizes just how much content you have put together and how many different people you have shown that to, and how much that does for the brand reputation. And also by your listening, how much you're helping mitigate risk. Like you're doing so much more than
Mhm.
just posting on social media, and make sure people know that. And then make sure that you also remember that every day, because otherwise you can kind of get lost in that. And also know that, I've done this for a really long time, and I still go through those days too. There are like,
Oh
so
gosh.
anytime that you, there are days where someone like Jenny reaches out to me and she's like, "Hey, do you want to come on this podcast?" And I'm like, "Why on earth does Jenny want me to come on her podcast?" So feel free to
Because
reach
you're my
out and ask, for advice from other people, and it's for how to get through different situations or navigate different scenarios, because it's a weird industry. Higher ed social is an even weirder industry than just social media.
but it's close. It's very close. It's a very close industry.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes.
And
Oh,
Erica,
it's an amazing group of people.
if you ever need a hype woman, I will be your hype woman because you are so good at what you do. So
Oh, thanks. I
please.
was not trying to do that. I was just saying.
No, but I feel you. I feel the same way. I mean, Kellen knows that I feel the same way. So the one thing I would add, I agree, to all of that you said, but one thing that I learned that I just didn't anticipate is how much education I have to do, like the educating, like that. Like I'm constantly like people who I report to that didn't grow up with social media, they, I think they know the value now, but they just don't understand the breadth of what we do, right? Or the difference in platforms. And so I'm constantly like explaining things as I'm talking to them, like a reel, which is a vertical video in Instagram that can be used. So I'm like I feel like I'm building definitions and explanations into when I'm like talking. And I've said this to young people who wanted to start in this career. It's like you are constantly educating. You have to just remember that you're constantly like explaining things, explaining new things, explaining why an algorithm, what it's, how it's changing the way you're seeing things or posting things. And so I think that I just didn't anticipate so much. And I think I'm probably going to do that for I mean, need to do that for the rest of my time as a social media professional, right? And to that end, what advice would you give to like a new person starting out in this profession? And Kellen, do you want to start us off with this one?
I think the biggest advice I'd give them is bring yourself and like who you are, your influences, what you care about, your sense of humor, whatever it is,
Mhm.
bring that to the job with you because that will inform at least 50% of what you do going forward. Like all the strategies I ever created are all based off silly things I came up with when I was like 21, 22, 23, and things that I learned and I took in like Erica mentioned before, like the idea like how social listening is something that people need to do more and like and I remember like 10 years ago, like I came up with that social you Jenny, you invited me to speak at like at MIT when I was at
Yes.
Harvard just to talk about my social listening plan. And like I was just
Yes.
like, I'm just looking at social and then I'm taking it like Erica says, I'm writing it, okay, why is this meme important? And why it seems silly, but no, it's actually connected to mental health
No,
among
it's
students. And you're
actually
seeing all these people doing this instead of bringing it all together. So I would say like making sure that they bring that to the table because I think at some point, especially when I talk to interns and talk to student collaborators, this idea that professional means boring, professional means dull, professional means the same as what everyone else is doing really hurts them, especially during the interview process. Because then I remember the big thing we used to have, we for interns, we used to have them send, we still do have them send us a sample of what they would do if they were Penn State, if they were Penn State interns. And sometimes people they give us like the most blandest thing they could, but then I go on their page, I'm like, that post you did yesterday would have gotten you this job. But the post you sent us that
um,
you did for Penn State in mind
mm,
put you at the bottom of the list. And like, I don't think so I think connecting that and making sure that you kind of bring who you are to the job with you because you're more likely to succeed that way than kind of what you think people want you to be.
it builds on like we all have imposter syndrome, but you bring value to the table, like bring
Mhm.
yourself and your expectations. So I love that. Erica, how about you? What advice would you give?
I want to kind of build on what Kellen's response to the previous question about the biggest lesson from his career, and it's that you're getting into an industry where you don't have a lot of control. Like you can't control a lot of what happens in social media, and so you just have to be ready to pivot. So when things aren't going the right way, take a deep breath and find the next path. It's really rare that the audience knows what your original plan was. So
So
if
true.
you need to change something, like it's okay. They didn't know what you were going to do. You can change it and go ahead and do something different. Work
No
that
one knows it's a
adaptive.
series unless you tell them it's a
Yes.
series.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
true. It's so true. Yeah.
Work that adaptability muscle as often as you can until it becomes natural, because the more that you pivot and you adapt and you adjust, it's just going to keep being easier and easier until you get to a point where something comes up and you have to just very quickly change your approach, that it's not even going to really like have this effect on you, and you're just going to be like, oh, okay, we have to completely throw out all of the stuff that we worked on and created and make something new right now. And that's just going to be normal. And that is fine. Like that's going to be fine. The more that you can get used to that, the easier it's going to be. There will become a point where that's just fluid for you. And so earlier in your career, as unbothered as you can be by that fluidity of this industry, the quicker that you will become used to that, and then you'll just very naturally be able to enjoy this ride, and then you might even end up really enjoying it in the end, because it is a very real part of working in this. There are very few days where what I think we're going to do is what we're actually doing.
So true. No, I think that's come up before, like be comfortable with uncertainty or being, I
Mhm.
think that's absolutely right. We've come to that point on confessions where I ask you each for confessions.
So I can start first. I think since we were talking about like everything like 10, 15 years ago social, I will say the hardest part of this job was the transition from everyday contributor to management director level, because all those skills and those ideas that I had when I was first starting, and those I don't do anymore and I can't do, and I have to, and that idea of letting go and recognizing like, yes, I can create a strategy, but how it's enacted and how it shifts is no longer up to me, and I have to be
Mhm.
okay with that. I have to hire those people, and they have their own thoughts and they have their own progression. Because at one point, I was that person who like took a strategy and made it whatever I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
So being able to let go and learn and to be a manager, I think so that's my biggest confession is like this part was the hardest. That's shifting from, okay, I post every day, I'm seeing everything in real time, to now you all are doing this. And I have to kind of figure out how to work with you and have to be a people manager instead of account manager.
that's a good one, Erica.
That was a really good one. So I shared right before we started recording that I didn't have a confession yet, and then I was gonna think of one while we were chatting. And so I thought of one from this very enlightening conversation that we've had, and it came to me while I was sharing this last thing, this
Perfect.
last answer of the advice for people who are just coming into the industry. I know that the reason that I still work in this industry and that I still work in the role that I am in, after having been someone who, didn't stick around at jobs for a very long period of time before getting to the University of Michigan, is because I do like the thrill of it. Like I do like the
Okay.
thrill of the unknown. While I don't ever want there to be like, anything like negative, something has come up and we have to change. We need to pivot. Whether it's, we just had a very exciting run in March Madness that led to our men's basketball team winning the national championship. And so we had, thank you. So we had, like we are not the we are the main campus, like the university side of the um like we run the university accounts. And so like, but that was still, we were still creating celebratory content and sharing a lot of that content and collabing with the basketball and athletics accounts. As so we were changing a lot of what we're doing. We have commencement coming up very soon, and so we have like a lot of these changes. We also just a few days before we're recording this, we had to make some not great announcements that required regarding our presidential transition. And so we
Mhm.
had to make a lot of pivots around that. And so, like, obviously, not a good situation, but all of those types of changes and things and the quick thinking, those are the types of things that keep me on my toes enough to make me really enjoy the job. It keeps every single day different and it's never boring. There has never ever been a day of my job that I have felt bored or I have felt I'm not excited. I feel exhausted many days. I feel
We're
sad
tired.
some days. I feel
Yeah.
tired some days, most days, but I've never gone home and been like, well, that was a boring day. And so I think that's the like that ride I was talking about is a quite thrilling one. And
Never
even having done it for this long, I'm actually still quite enjoying it. And I cannot believe that I'm still saying that.
never a dull moment.
So Jenny, I actually have one more confession. This was to
Yeah,
do with
please.
Erica in Michigan. So Erica might not realize this, but on TikTok, we were like going head to head for who was going to get the 200,000 first in terms of followers. And I was like, we're going to do it. We're going to beat it. Because we were like a few followers apart. Then out of nowhere, they do one that's like a flyover of like they put the phone in the plane and they fly over and it goes viral. And I was so upset. I was like, we had you. So that's my confession. I'm still mad at Erica in Michigan because they did a flyover when we were like we had the lead. We were going to do it.
Did you, Erica? Did you know? Was this
She
like
probably didn't
you
even
guys were?
realize it.
Did you know that Kellen had this competition in his head against
I
University of
knew that
Michigan?
we were really close to 200,000 right
Okay.
before the flyover. I did not know that. You guys were also very close. I have someone on my team who oversees our TikTok and he like creates our vertical video content primarily. He very well might have known and been monitoring that. But yes, we did get lucky and we did have someone who we knew who was going in one of the planes that did the flyover. Yeah. So that we got real
Rough.
lucky.
I do this too. Like I like in my head am competing with
Oh
other
yeah.
like peers. And so I guess that's sort of my confession too, that I'm always
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna hit
Yeah.
this number or that's
Yeah.
really funny.
I have different groups of competitors. They're all
Yeah.
bucketed
It's all
into different.
healthy. It's all healthy.
You're
We all
telling
do
me
this.
about this bucketed list of competitors you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well,
I did
MIT's Instagram
I
is just like, we're not,
I know I wasn't gonna bring that up, but I did hit a
so
milestone recently
yeah,
that I thank
congratulations.
Happy
you.
million.
Thank you. I've been working for that for like the past 2 years, y'all. Like, but no, I appreciate that. But Erica, with your confession, you actually kind of touched upon, like, I know I usually don't ask another question after the confessions, but you touched upon a question I did want to ask. And so maybe Kellen, you can also tell us like why continue with this career?
Uh, Jenny, by this point, I love chaos. Like, it's just like what I live for. And social's really the only thing that can provide it. Like, I remember being a little kid and it's like, wow, he's so distracted. Everything, like, he's not paying attention. There's nothing that can kind of keep us. And then there comes a profession where that's all I do is like, oh, I'll look at this. Oh, I get bored. I flick fast. Oh, I remember at one point, I was sitting in my office. There were 5 YouTube videos playing at the exact same time, and I'm watching them all. And my assistant director walks in, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm
I
like,
I
"What
can
are you talking
imagine
about?"
Courtney's reaction.
Yeah, Courtney's like, "What are you doing right now?" I'm like, "Oh, like I'm watching them, and I'm realizing certain things about each individual video, and I'm like." This is like, I'm like, is this what the kids call flow state? Like, this is where I was right now. So I couldn't do that
Mhm.
in any other. And so and so,
Mhm.
yeah. And so that's why I do this. because it's the only profession right now that I can think of outside of if I become like a stuntman, I guess, where I would be able to do this.
Now you both are making me look at myself like, do I enjoy chaos? Is this what
You
I
do?
live for?
Well,
You might not realize. Yeah.
why do you still do this job, Jenny? What's
Tables
your
turned. Nice job, Erica.
I was actually thinking about this. I do love how it's changed so much, and it's not the same job from the beginning, and it keeps on presenting me with new challenges. I never really thought of that as like I love chaos, but I agree with you all about it's never a dull moment. It really taps into different, like skill sets and challenges, and I think it's been a pretty amazing ride.
You're here.
I've enjoyed this conversation with y'all so much, and I've learned a lot as always. So, Erica, Kellen, thank you so much for agreeing to come on again and spending this time with me.
Thank you for the
Thank
invite.
you so much.
Thanks for listening to Confessions of a Higher Ed Social Media Manager. This show is a proud member of the Enrollify network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow, so be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.